As you've already mentioned there, Ben, but the game's always changing. The managers for both sides have changed in this off-season. A lot's been expected. And for both sets of fans, the deep, long breath that is the football season starts tonight, concluding 10 months from now.
Here's a nice run from Puma McQueen. Back towards Reggie Walsh in the middle. And a good early foray on that left edge for Chelsea. And Emanalo, the American and English youth international, as well, is going to be a good target on that left edge for Chelsea. And as you said, Eric, right from the top, Club World Cup champions a couple of times. And for Western Sydney Wanderers, they won their biggest title back in 2014 when they won the AFC Champions League and played in the Club World Cup as well. No doubt, Fitale, their new boss, wanting them to get back to those kind of heights. Goes back. It's a nice little touch away from Kavuma McQueen. Madonna looking to get himself involved in the game early on. Played in Canberra last week against Tigers FC. His first appearance as a Wanderer after making the move from Adelaide United.
And isn't that a big contrast in itself? Playing against the ACT NPL side in the Tigers last week, the Wanderers up against Chelsea FC the next, and they're not going to be overawed by this occasion. They have their own rebuilds to worry about. A lot's been talked about, and rightly so, about Chelsea, but what about the Wanderers? What sort of response from last season are we going to see from moment one here tonight?
There's the captain, Tosin, just put under a bit of pressure. Brandon Borello up top there for Western Sydney. He's going to do a lot of work here early on. As we said off the top, this Chelsea side, only 4 players in their starting 11 played in the Premier League for them last season. So a lot of youngsters eager to impress. And they have been impressing because they won the under-18 Premier League youth title last year, Chelsea, and a number of these players appeared in that side and thumped Manchester City in the final, 5-1. Tayo Subaloi, one of their defenders tonight in 37, you can see there. He was the captain of that side. It's a nice touch from Reggie Watson. And here comes a free kick. Daniel Elder saying no advantage accrued, and Blues will get a free kick.
Yeah, good early signs from both sets of players. The energy's there. Everybody expecting and waiting to see what is this Xabi Alonso side going to be like. Are they going to play that back 3 formation that we saw him play with Leverkusen and going undefeated in that Bundesliga season a couple of years ago?
So again, Chelsea liking this left edge. Watson dropping it all the way back for Tosin. That's an overhit pass and gives us a chance to head downstairs and say a very good evening to Narlene Masto.
Thanks, Benny. Well, there's such a good buzz down here. The atmosphere is building up nicely, and I'm hearing that Xabi Alonso, he wants to keep his main stars fit for the big London derby on the weekend. But in saying that, we could absolutely expect to see the likes of Cole Palmer and João Pedro appear at some stage tonight, as they'll be looking to impress. But this is such a big occasion for the Wanderers, and no one is looking forward to it more than Jared Carluccio, who's had this one circled ever since it was announced 8 months ago. So this is just as special for the players as it is for the spectators here tonight.
Well, here's an early chance here for Western Sydney. What a moment that was for Aidan Hammett to open the scoring.
Well, you don't get many chances like that. That ball just over the top from Cicluna, getting it forward, and he just really scuffed at that opportunity. The keeper was begging to be chipped off his line, Hammond, and he scuffs it across the side. That's a warning sign for Chelsea FC early on.
We know it's a pre-season friendly, but Western Sydney, what What a feather in their cap it would be if they can get a result here tonight. Knowing as well, first time Chelsea toured Australia back in 1965 when they were here for an 11-match tour. So it gives you an indication. A lot of these previous 14 matches came that year. Well, they've never been beaten in Australia. Those previous 14 matches, and here is an opening for the visitors. Oh, what a strike that is from the new recruit, the Kazakh international, Dastan Satpayev. What a way to introduce yourself to the Chelsea faithful. He scored his first international goal in November last year against Belgium, the youngest goal scorer for his country. Well, you can see why Chelsea signed him.
That's unbelievable. It all started from McQueen playing that forward pass, and what an impact to make for your first game for Chelsea FC. You can see why Chelsea have paid the big bucks for the youngster. Turning 18 in a week or so's time, and look at him explode and get onto that ball. And it's just the power that takes it past Jordan Holmes at the near post, but that's what it takes to play for Chelsea FC. You've got to make a big impact. And what an impact he's made already.
Well, we talk about opportunities on nights like these. Well, there's the first one taken by Satpayev. He's been playing in Kazakhstan with Kairat. Now all of a sudden, opportunity knocks here for Western Sydney. He's done well there, Sharman Lowe, to bat it away and out of his 18-yard box, but Western Sydney are coming back with some interest, but Gillian is flagged for offside. And Eric, where Western Sydney blinked via Aidan Hammond, Chelsea made their opportunity count.
Well, they certainly did, and that's the difference in the level sometimes. It's in both 18-yard box, as we always say. And look at that, one chance for Chelsea and one opportunity in front of goal, and it's a world-class finish. Do we expect anything less?
And you expected him to be quality, based on the fact, of course, Chelsea have signed him, but you look at the side he scored against, his first international goal in World Cup qualifiers, so a competitive match, and he scored against Belgium in a 1-1 draw. And we know how deep they went at the World Cup. Some quality opposition.
And he played and scored at the Champions League last season with Karaitz up against Copenhagen. So the quality's there. He's not even turned 18 yet, so there was some sort of talk about him not signing, but he's already signed on the dotted line. That's why he's out there tonight.
To be fair, for Chelsea last season, goal scoring wasn't a massive issue for them. Fifth best goal scoring record in the Premier League. It was defensively, where they were sitting in the bottom half. And for Western Sydney, well, take your pick. I reckon it's both ends of the pitch after what was a really disappointing campaign, but some really bright moments for them on Wednesday night last week in the Australia Cup competition. Here come Chelsea again. Space again out to the left, and that's where Reggie Watson goes. Under real pressure now is Sugo. Thurgate. A toy with him inside his own 18-yard box. He's gifted it back here. Kavuma McQueen. Oh! Jordan Holmes. That is a truly exceptional save.
Well, it's a night with world class on the tongue. And usually we're talking about Chelsea, but Jordan Holmes has played something out of this world there. That's going right into the top corner. Chelsea were probing, and they put that pressure on straight away. Exactly what Xabi Alonso wants. When they lose the ball, try and win it back quickly.
The goalkeeper who's played in the lower leagues in England, Jordan Holmes, not as much opportunity as he has probably liked over the last couple of A-League seasons at Western Sydney. Chance to put himself up in lights. That corner cut off at the near post by Borello. Champong able to reach the cross back. But the quality of this youthful Chelsea side. What was going on there? Chris Bowling, I reckon that is down there, the goalkeeping coach for Western Sydney, just engaging in a little bit of banter, was it there, with Dario Asugo?
Well, the scary thing, as you see Satayev getting forward again, he's really up for it tonight. The Kazakh
swung across to that left edge. One thing that we are seeing under Ufi Chale is just this press from Western Sydney. They have really squeezed Chelsea in the early stages of this one, and to be honest, if their finishing was more clinical, they probably could have had at least one.
Yeah, speaking with the Western Sydney staff before the game, they're going to be pressing and going for it, but you've got to be very careful up against a side like Chelsea. If you don't get it right, if the timing's not right, it can all go haywire. But just back to Chelsea last season, 28 years old, was the oldest player in the squad. Football is so young these days, and they maybe just need to add a little bit of experience. There's a couple of names being thrown about at the moment as well for Chelsea.
Yeah, Jordan Henderson, one of those, potentially coming across from Brentford. Danny Welbeck as well from Brighton. And here comes the press again from Western Sydney. Got to consider as well, there's got to be a bit of jet lag at play for Chelsea, having only recently arrived in the country. Oh, here's a great opportunity, and what a save from Sharman Lowe. Able to push away that strike from Gillian. Thought for a moment it was just going to creep inside that far post, but he got enough on it.
Yeah, some real green shoots at the moment from the Western Sydney Wanderers, doing their own gegenpressing. And that right in the corner there, Teddy Sharman Lowe had to get down low, and it was almost the new man, Liam Gillian, getting off the mark.
22 matches for Bolton Wanderers in League One last season. Sharman Lowe on loan. He's got some football under his belt despite not having made a first-team appearance for Chelsea. This corner is a decent one. Has it crossed the line? Pantazopoulos is claiming it. Referee says goal. So Western Sydney equalise. And it's one of their inspirational leaders in Anthony Pantazopoulos who's claiming the credit.
Now this is a sign that we haven't seen for a long, long time. The Western Sydney Wanderers with a response and getting their crowd right behind them. It was a set-piece routine, and he hung in there, Pantazopoulos, right at the far posts. He's a nuisance inside the box, he really is. It's a great flick on from Brandon Borello. Set pieces were a trouble and a worry for them last campaign, but Mr. Sydney Wanderers, Anthony Pantazopoulos, right there when you need him to tuck it away. The Wanderers have responded.
And you felt like maybe that was an area they could exploit, the Blues here tonight, especially with an 11 that haven't played together a whole lot. Western Sydney got that 90 minutes under their belt last week. Pantazopoulos, as you said, he is a nuisance. He's a real beast in those kind of situations, and he's absolutely pumped. And I reckon he could well go to another level after that. Look at Western Sydney now. Ferreira finding DiPizio. There's some confidence about the red and black now all of a sudden, after conceding that early goal. This is Cicluna dancing his way down the left, very nearly finding Borello.
Well, they're finding it hard at the moment, Chelsea. They're stunned a little bit by the intensity shown here from the Western Sydney Wanderers, and also Scicluna getting forward from midfield, adding a different number to that back line and getting forward.
Now it's Hammond. Hammond curling it into the gloves of Jarman Lowe. He's had a couple of sights early doors in this one, Aidan Hammond.
Well, it's the best thing for the game, Ben, because if it stays at 1-1, you're definitely going to be assured of seeing some of the stars getting in a little bit earlier than maybe the coach would have wanted.
How good is this? Western Sydney with the press, really putting Chelsea under some pressure. Just going back through the record books, the last time Chelsea conceded in Australia in a pre-season tour, Eric, was back in May 1965 against the Australian World Cup team in a 1-1 draw. So there you have it. There's some nice footwork and draws the save out of Jordan Holmes. Does Reggie Walsh as Chelsea look to put themselves back in front.
Well, he's the youngest player for Chelsea to feature in the Champions League. And at the time, he was the second youngest Englishman as well to appear in the Champions League. And he just stepped forward there, afforded that space. But you can just see the quality when they're standing in front of goal and they can get their shot away. It's near enough perfect every single time.
Yeah, Jack Wiltshire, the only player younger than Reggie Walsh from England to play in the Champions League. So that's the kind of quality he's up there with, the teenager, as this corner comes in. What a chance it was. Reggie Watson, that was. The other Reggie in their starting side, he's 16. Reggie Walsh is 17. That nodded over by Tosin, the captain, at the elderly age, Eric, of 28. When you think about this starting side.
Yeah, well, it's crazy. But, you know, you can just see the way that Chelsea have lined up here. And we're trying to see clear indicators of how Alonso wants to set his team up. And it is very much a front half and a back half. Look how many players are in that little spot now to win the second ball, the third ball. They want to try and win it back as quickly as possible and regain possession.
So Delap looking to link up there with Walsh. Western Sydney, though, pinch it back, and they want to move it quickly. Impressive start from the Australian side. Burgate, into the path of Scicluna. He earns the whistle from Elder. They've won it back here, the Blues, just over here, looking for Delap. He gets that pass right, I reckon it's 2-1.
But how quick is that from Watson? Two other midfielders around him to try and hustle and win that ball back. But the Wanderers, they're not taking a backward step.
Nice one-touch football to Pizio. Oh, a handball is the ruling, and it's unfortunate for the red and black because they were off again.
Well, this is the risk that you take when you go and press teams and really try and overcommit. And it's exactly what the Wanderers are trying to do, but they're too good to play out there.
Subaloy. Watson. Chimpong through Tosin. Sugo. Sampayev, the goal scorer. Manalo is giving it up again. He's looked really sharp, hasn't he? Well, DePizio on return to Western Sydney. He's been at Central Coast Mariners in the A-League most recently, but played his youth football in the west of Sydney. Pantazopoulos and Hammond. You can see Xabi Alonso, bottom left corner of screen. He's been stalking the touchline throughout this match.
Well, you have to remember as well, this team's not been together that long. A lot of young players, a lot of young faces for Xabi Alonso to ponder over, that who can possibly step up and step into that Premier League setup and seriously play minutes. They've got no distraction of European football this season, the third time ever they haven't made it into Europe, sorry.
It's a massive opportunity, isn't it? Especially without that extra glut of European games. No doubt they would want to be playing in those competitions, but the fact they're not really gives Xabi Alonso a wonderful opportunity. But also, I think Chelsea will have to either send the players out on loan or maybe release some players from the squad, because it is quite a large squad of players. Here's Hammond, Letizia. Borrello just peeling wide and looking to place it in the top corner. Missed by much the Western Sydney captain.
Well, there's a lot to like about Aidan Hammond tonight. His mobility is allowing the Wanderers to get forward, and Letizia in the hole. Maybe that was the position they were missing last season in Borrello. I'm not sure he caught that correctly. He was maybe trying to chip it or rip it to the far corner. In the end, it was neither.
Look at that. Final third entries. Western Sydney double those of Chelsea. Much of it down to that press. Borrello again peeling wide. Ufi Talay has executed the press at Sydney FC to perfection. Now trying it at Western Sydney. And that final pass just going awry. And this is where Chelsea are having most of their joy at the moment on the counter-attack.
Yeah, well, somebody in a blue shirt or on the bench needs to calm his players down. You can just see they're getting a little bit frustrated, not having the ball. The Wanderers, they know how to play here in Sydney, and they're knocking the ball around, keeping it. But you always know that Chelsea, they got that one chance. That ball goes out to Satpayev, they're in trouble.
Delap. He is outworked there by Pantazopoulos, who drives it forward. Borrello knows he wanted to get it wide, and it was well cut off. Chapong. Kavuma McQueen. Shimmy onto that left. Again, the door is shut by Pantazopoulos. Hasn't he had a wonderful start to this game?
Well, it's something you don't see too often. Two players tackling each other for the ball. This is no pre-season friendly for the Wanderers. And that haircut for Pantazopoulos, he means business.
Hammond. Borrello. Hammond, he gets barreled over here. And Ufi Talay, he's been relatively quiet to start this one, sitting back on the bench, but he's up and about to the edge of his technical area. You can see bottom of screen. He's pretty content with how things are playing out at the moment. He's an aggressive coach. Likes his teams to play attractive football. We've seen that from Western Sydney to start here tonight.
Yeah, and it's good for Xabi Alonso just to keep taking mental notes of who's able to handle this situation. And football's always like this. It's not always one-way traffic, and I'm sure that these young Chelsea players probably did not expect to be faced with this sort of task. But they've got to find a way. That's why they played the big bucks to play for Chelsea FC. It's finding a way in these sorts of moments.
Letizia again, running back the ball for Western Sydney. Dana with the cross, just too close to Charman Low. Another really good opportunity if he gets that cross right. And Daniel Elder has blown the whistle for a free kick for a foul on Asugo. Chimpong. Josh Chimpong, one of the centre-backs tonight alongside Tosin Subaloy. He's eligible for England, Ireland and Ghana. He's got a few countries knocking on his door. The 20-year-old. Cicluna. Trying to make that pass through for Gillian. Dana. Thurgate measuring this in behind. He can really measure a pass. Angus Thurgate almost got that spot on.
Yeah, they're really dangerous when they move that ball quickly. And it's great to see that relationship between DiPizio and Cicluna. And there's Thurgate, the other midfielder, going out to try and win the ball back. And they just need to be a little bit sharper in transition, Chelsea. Walsh getting caught, Watson getting caught in possession at times. It's just, I think in terms of the pressure...
all of a sudden Thurgate did get his toe to it, but it just skewed off to the side. Oh, Sharman Lowe would have had his heart in his mouth there for a moment, but all of a sudden it allows Chelsea here to fight Satpayev. He's already shown us what he can do from a tight angle. In the opening 10 minutes of this one, that's a lazy pass, really. And Western Sydney almost able to escape, but Subaloy and Chumpok. Watson, Tosin. 28 appearances for Tosin last year across all competitions, just the 16 starts though. The former Manchester City man, and just sold themselves into a bit more trouble here, the Blues. And again, they find a path to Delap. As Pantazopoulos backpedaling, tight angle for Delap. And Pantazopoulos did enough just to put off the Englishman.
Dustin Satpayev again, finding those little pockets of space when the Wanderers are all too busy watching the ball and pressing. And it's all a little bit individual at the moment for Chelsea. Delap getting forward, and Jordan Holmes saw that all the way. But that's what they've been reduced to, getting one player forward and trying to isolate somebody from the Wanderers.
Well, it's been a really enjoyable first 28 minutes here at Accor Stadium in Sydney. First match of the Sydney Super Cup. Sydney FC taking on Tottenham tomorrow at Allianz Stadium for Chelsea play Tottenham on Saturday here at Accor Stadium. Not many tickets left for that one, so if you want to see two of the Titans of England do battle, have your tickets now, because it's going to be a wonderful evening of football on Saturday night.
Impressive yet again from Hammond. On the right side last year, it's on the left tonight.
So Gillian, no one really pressuring him initially. A couple of step overs from Liam Gillian, takes on the strike. Now Cicluna did score his only A-League goal from distance and couldn't repeat the dose there.
Yeah, really positive signs from the Wanderers. And, you know, for A-League fans or non-A-League fans that haven't been watching, this is a complete different shift from what we saw from the Red and Black last season. Xabi Alonso's up and about, and you wonder what's going to happen at half-time, if he's going to look to his bench already. I'm sure we'll see a lot of subs in the second part of the game.
Cicluna has been strong to start this match, as you'd expect from Dylan Cicluna. One of the real bright young prospects in the A-League. Building a real foundation for himself to venture overseas at some stage. So going to get enough of a nudge there from Hammond. Here goes Walsh. Kavuma McQueen, 17-year-old, back to the 16-year-old Reggie Watson. So I said Tosin's the oldest player out there at the moment on the ball here, 28. The second oldest is goalkeeper Teddy Sharman Lowe at 23 and Liam Delap at 23. So very youthful starting 11 to begin this one. Here's some nice work down the left again. Sampaev at the heart of another Chelsea opportunity.
Well, he's definitely up for it tonight. The Kazakh international stepping in from the flank and perhaps needs to maybe engage with his teammates a little bit more. We've seen that from Chelsea so far. Once they get to that final third or the 18-yard box, they're just taking it themselves. Maybe there's an extra pass in there. And that cohesion of not playing together that regularly or at all is maybe the reason we've not seen any good chances so far, apart from the goal.
So this Chelsea's third match of the pre-season, the first two behind closed doors. 3-1 win over Crawley Town, 3-0 over Bromley. This is the first time that Chelsea fans have been able to take in the Xabi Alonso era. As we touched on that terrific spell at Bayer Leverkusen. We won the Bundesliga, and then a tough stint last season at Real Madrid, as the guys said in the pre-game show. Let's rule that one out. A lot of politics goes on there. Here's Hammond with a chance. Oh, all of a sudden, Western Sydney have taken the lead, and it's one of their best in Aiden Hammond, who strikes a real blow.
Oh, he's loving life tonight. Ufuk Talay, what a response for the red and black of Western Sydney. Aiden Hammond has been on fire to start this game. We see him get forward, and it's just about engaging with his teammates left and right, and it's a beautiful little touch there to go past, and then just the presence of mind to look at the goalkeeper and see that that option is on. Hard and low at the near post, side-footed into the corner. Hammond, that's a huge goal for Western Sydney Wanderers. They deserve the lead.
Well, he missed that opportunity early on, but he was not turning away a second invitation. Aiden Hammond. Western Sydney lead 2-1. Eric Partaloo, we said from the start, this is a really good opportunity for Western Sydney up against a very much inexperienced Chelsea lineup. There's only 4 players in this starting 11 who played in the Premier League last season. A lot of youngsters, a lot of teenagers, and they've taken advantage.
Well, Xabi Alonso said in his press conference.
Oh, maybe there's another one. Hammond. And Sherman Lowe has to dive down and make the save. Now it's Thurgate's strike. And this should be a corner for Western Sydney. Well,
Brandon Borello is going absolutely berserk because Miguel DePizio, he could have played him in here. Watch this, Aiden Hammond, right there, he's open across the front of the face of goal. And they're just getting stuck trying to play out.
DePizio on the set-piece duty. Remember what happened earlier from the set-piece? Pantazopoulos scored Western Sydney's equaliser. They are bouncing here, Wanderers. And with the superstars on the bench, they're saying, come and get us. DePizio. Now Thurgate drops it back for DePizio. Nana just can't find that crossing angle. Thurgate. Kluna dink over the top. Borello's offside though.
Well, Xabi Alonso hinted at it last night in his press conference, saying that the team that's starting now obviously won't be the team that finishes in May, and the team in May will be much better in terms of their preparation and their way of going forward. But this is not a great step forward for them.
Hammond and Gillian. How are they feeling at the moment? The Blues. This stage, Xabi Alonso to go to his bench yet. That all planned out, but maybe this wasn't in the plans. Here's a I'm not even going to worry about.
It was a shot. It was a shot.
Surely we can love to have a little chat. It's Ferreira. Just thought I might see if I can have a little dash with Sharman Lowe off his line.
You've got to love the intensity. You've got to love that Chelsea have come here on their pre-season trip for a friendly against the Western Sydney Wanderers. It's been anything but. And it's been great viewing. And it's going to take a great response, to be honest, from Chelsea to get back into this game.
Well, Pantazopoulos, he is the barometer, isn't he, for Western Sydney, just about to take this free kick. He's up and about after scoring that equaliser. Now he delivers this pass to Madana, who drives for the byline, scoops it back, Gillian's header. Now, I don't think that crossed the byline. The assistant's flag didn't go up.
You just hear the fans. And now the plan B for Chelsea. I think they have now decided that we're not going to fight fire with fire and try and play out from the back. Madana speeds forward. The new signing, it looked as though that it went past the line. No VAR tonight.
Well, is that a massive win for Ufi Talay and his Western Sydney Wanderers? The fact that Chelsea say, well, hang on a second. Oh, Gillian just coming on the blind side there. Vachimpong just got a toe in the nick of time. The fact that Chelsea say, well, we're going to play long, we're not going to play it out from the back, it's not going to change the situation, because here come Western Sydney again. Brandon Borello with a chance, and the chances keep stacking up here for the red and black. And Satpayev peel wide here against Madana. Oh, that's lovely football. There's the equaliser. Dario Asugo, one of the men in this starting side who played in the Premier League last season. The Portuguese youth international gets us back all square.
It does not take much from the Chelsea side to switch and change gears, and that's the difference. As we see them go from coast to coast, again involving Satpayev, who's been on fire again, getting the ball out wider, just waiting for the right moment, a neat 1-2, and then bang, an early finish into the corner from Asugo. It's really slick football from Chelsea. The response, exactly what they needed. It was electrifying, the movement there, and the finish even better from Asugo.
So back to 2-2, 7 minutes before the break. Entertainment Plus here in the Sydney Super Cup tonight at Accor Stadium. Chelsea taking the lead through Satpayev inside the opening 10. Western Sydney equalising through Pantazopoulos before Aidan Hammond put them ahead. Now Dario Asugo equalises for the Blues. How do Western Sydney respond to that? Well, this is where they are at their most dangerous. The speed in transition here. Delap in a one-on-one situation versus the Argentine Ferreira. Tight angle, and Holmes has to make himself big.
There's no signs of that thigh injury from Dario Asugo from last season. Just bursting forward and attracts at least 3 Wanderers defenders. Delap, he's been in this position before. Jordan Holmes just put a big right arm out and said, not today, not now.
You can hear the fans in the stands here. They're screaming out to some of the big names who are on the bench for Chelsea tonight. And here we go. Even in these friendly matches, Daniel Oda is going to come forward with the conversation. I'm sure there's nothing untoward going on in there. They probably continue at the same rate. Bit of push and shove, bit of grabbing. Here comes the corner to the back post, and a bit of purchase on that from Subaloy. Western Sydney get the clearance away.
Well, I don't think we saw 4 goals coming in this first 40 minutes or so. I'm not sure we saw 4 coming from both sides. I think a lot of people would have thought Chelsea would have walked over this first 45 minutes or so, and they've had their moments, and you can tell when they do get that little half moment, they're so dangerous, and they'll make you pay. If you go and press and there's space in behind, there's always an opportunity.
Be interested to see as well at half-time. We're pretty much expecting Chelsea to make some changes. I wonder whether Western Sydney will remain with this starting 11. Just the one change from their Australia Cup match on Wednesday, with Holmes coming into goalkeeping role ahead of Vidakovic. Outside of that, all outfield players remaining the same. Marlowe. Finding Setpayev. He's giving Madonna some trouble, but he's held up his end of the bargain. Western Sydney right fullback.
Yeah, it's a great test. What a great occasion it is for these Western Sydney Wanderers players to pit themselves against some of the best young players in the competition. It looks as though Germán Ferreira has a back issue, possibly in that little tussle with Liam Delap before.
Well, you hope he's all right. I won't want to take any risks here, Western Sydney, especially considering he is the man that can really add some steel to their back line. That experience to go with the energy of Pantazopoulos, 23-year-old partnered with the 30-year-old Argentine. So the corner, Tosin with a free header. My goodness. What a chance for the Chelsea captain. It does not get better than that.
Oh, the delivery's outstanding. How good is that ball to the far post? It's not looped, it's not cut, it's just whipped. And he's right there, the big man. Just slipped off that forehead of his. And he knows he should have scored that one.
So, Germán Ferreira. Now, does he just indicate maybe he got a little elbow there? So while he gets some treatment, Xabi Alonso has a chance here just to call his side in. What do you think he'll be saying to them?
Just keep calm. You know, it's explosive out there, and I think some of the principles that he wants to instill in his side, which is keeping the ball under pressure, allowing the press to come, and drawing in a couple of teammates to try and play around that press. When it's come off for them, they've actually gone and counter-attacked really strongly, and I think they can keep their width a little bit more as well. Setpayev is getting the ball, it looks dangerous on the outside, but it's about keeping calm. This is match number 1 for Xabi Alonso.
So this would be a loss for Western Sydney if Ferreira is forced off. And they will have a last 16 clash in the Cup on the way in the coming weeks, so I want him fit for that. And it looks as though it will be Nathan Barry who is going to replace him, the 20-year-old Seaforth youth product who's come up through the Western Sydney ranks. Youth product with the national side as well. So he'll be absolutely over the moon to get this opportunity. Just the 8 appearances in the A-League, the national competition here in Australia. So Nathan Barry replaces Germán Ferreira. So big test now for the Western Sydney backline. Western Sydney, can they push their noses in front right on the stroke of half-time? Gillian just looked a little bit tired there from Western Sydney. Look at Cicluna keeping pace. Oh, he's done so well there. Classy work.
He really is one of those players that, you know, is so graceful, stepping forward. Okay, commentators curse, but these are the games for young players that can attract overseas clubs, not just Chelsea, but if you can do it against Chelsea, people start to take notice. And Scicluna had that ACL injury, had his comeback season last year. This one's going to be really important for him. He could force a move overseas if he wants to in the coming months to the coming season.
Well, he is a player who had a trial at Aston Villa. He also played in the Wolves youth sides before returning back to Australia, Scicluna, so he spent some time in that English academy system, which a number of these Blues players on the field have been in and are currently in, as Daniel Elder blows a halt to proceedings here in Sydney. And what a first half we have witnessed. Entertainment plus 4 goals all told. Satpayev scoring the first, Pantazopoulos equalising for Western Sydney before Hammond put Wanderers back in front. And then Asugo made it 2-2 in the final 10 minutes before halftime. So Western Sydney, they'll be pretty proud of their showing in that first half. Halftime, Chelsea FC 2, Western Sydney Wanderers 2. First half of football, we witnessed some of the future stars of Chelsea on show. And for Western Sydney, well, they impressed as well. Pantazopoulos and Hammond on the score sheet, and we are going to see a return here of one of their favourites. So Vidakovic comes on in goal to replace Jordan Holmes. Nick Milanovic, after a season with Aberdeen in Scotland, he's back as Vidakovic, who played midweek against Tigers. So too did Atia Waraga. He impressed as well off the bench in that one. We're going to get a look at Amari Kellyman, who comes into the game for Chelsea at halftime, who won promotion with Cardiff City last season from League One to the Championship. So underway in the second half here at Accor Stadium. First match of the Sydney Super Cup. And we are still 45 minutes away from knowing who is going to be the first victor of this competition, Eric Partaloo.
Yeah, what a first half. That was fantastic viewing and a great response from Chelsea FC. They really needed to find a way through this Wanderers setup and their press. You can see already they're going for the press again, but it's about finding those moments.
So don't forget, tomorrow night, Sydney Super Cup continues here on Paramount Plus. We have got Sydney FC taking on Tottenham Hotspur. So just confirming those changes. Putting it on for Kavuma McQueen. The only change for Chelsea. Western Sydney with 3. Vidakovic coming into the game in goal. Hammond replaced by Milanovic. Hammond was so impressive in that first half. You wonder whether he was told by Ufi Talay, you'll get 45 minutes. Well, he made the most of it. So too did Liam Gillian, to be fair. Former Auckland player. He gets a breather. And we'll see what Waraka can do for Ufi Talay in this second half. Press coming again from Borello. Interesting to see as well, Eric, when does Xabi Alonso go to his superstars on the bench? Gatamas, Esteval, etc.
They are warming up as we speak, and you can hear the crowd getting right behind the goal there, and the expectation is for them to come on and win the game.
So Nicol Jazuli has also come into the game, the Aussie-born youngster here for Chelsea. 32, so keep an eye on him, the 16-year-old Marty Nicol Jazuli, who was born to an Australian mother and Sudanese father. He was born in Sydney before moving to England.
Yeah, it's not an area you want to give away a free kick, albeit a soft one from Scicluna, but this is a dangerous situation. New goalkeeper on the pitch and an expert dead ball specialist standing over it.
Well, who will it be to take here? Looks as though it's the 16-year-old Reggie Watson, who joined Chelsea from Crystal Palace in under-15s. It's bizarre we're talking about under-15s, isn't it? Shows you the quality of these young players. So the 16-year-old in Reggie Watson, standing over it. Landon Emanalo, another option. But it is Watson. And he just curls it wide of the target.
Well, the under-16 England international. First sight at goal there. And look at the stance. Parallel to the ball, trying to whip it up and around the wall, not going over. It gets over Thurgate, and that was travelling. Vidakovic was nowhere to be seen in that view.
Well, Ufitele's got some good depth in the goalkeeping ranks. Vidakovic there. Lawrence Thomas, who's not playing tonight, he's been away a little bit in the pre-season, got married as well, I believe, so he's just come back into the fray in the last week, so yeah, congratulations to Lawrence Thomas. He was on a FIFA course as well during the World Cup, so no doubt he'll be back ready to roll for Western Sydney in the coming weeks. Here's Tantazopoulos. Flag comes up against Borrello.
You can just see the movement there from the back line of Chelsea. They know exactly what they're trying to achieve when they see one player straying off into that position. Tosun, the captain, just stepping up in the middle and making life difficult and squeezing the game. But they're having a little bit of trouble here. Look at the Wanderers players all stepping forward.
So Sharman Lowe just has to launch it forward. Tantazopoulos in a tangle there with Delap. Now Daniel Elder has spotted a free kick, and even in a friendly, Xabi Alonso, he turns away quite frustrated and says a few words to the fourth official.
Yes.
Beautiful. It's great to see. One of the world's best footballers basically completed it as a player, and now as a coach, it's a really big season for him, because he's at a club that didn't perform that well in the Premier League last year, finishing 10th. So he knows the big job that's at his disposal, and they've got to try and get themselves going here in this game. But it's always difficult when you've got a lot of young players and new players to work with and begin with. This is the first step in the right direction, but they've conceded 2 goals here.
Here's some pressure on Sharman Lowe from Dupizio. Just on that stat, Eric, it's the most goals they've conceded on an Australian tour against Australian opposition. Conceded twice against an Australian representative side back in 1965. And they also conceded 2 against the Northern New South Wales select side back in 1965 as well. Up in Newcastle, that one.
Well, you love that one, don't you, Benny? Well, look, for Chelsea, they played 59 games in all competitions last campaign. It's so much football, and that debate rages on about how much football is too much football. And with the squad that they have, the size that they brought here to Australia, you would expect that a lot of these players will see serious minutes this campaign. That's why Xabi Alonso, he needs to see them here, and he needs to see them under pressure.
One thing they don't see a lot of in England is pitches that have been used by rugby league and are a bit chewed up, and you can see there that ball really spat off the turf. It's a little bit chunky in parts. It's Madana, the early delivery. What a chance for Borrello there, running in at the near post to make it 3-2 for Western Sydney. Still another chance here potentially brewing. Madana around the outside. Milanovic earns a corner, and this is bright from Western Sydney to begin the second half.
Panache Madana did not get enough minutes last season for Adelaide. That's a super ball in. Almost had Borrello getting a little nick here on his head at the near post. It's a great run forward. Well defended in the end from Chelsea, but the Wanderers, here they are applying pressure yet again.
So Milanovic, that left-footed corner, hangs it up. Barry was there at the back post. Sapayev with the clearance. Mixed up awkwardly there for Cicluna. Hard to trust the surface in that section of the pitch, and they get a little bit fortunate there. Western Sydney as it hit the heel of Reggie Walsh. Barry, well, it wasn't the worst option because Hello was in a good pocket of space, but was just marginally coming back onside.
But it was forced because Chelsea made the game really small. The back line had squeezed up. The forward line had dropped in to make it really compact. That'll at least please Xabi Alonso. That's part of their strategy this year, is to go and squeeze and make sure teams don't get a minute to breathe in the middle of the park. The problem is the Wanderers are doing the exact same thing.
Nice piece of skill there against the sideline. So the pressure again telling from Western Sydney. Milanovic looking for that release of Borello. Sharman Lowe across the other side of Accor Stadium. We'll head down to the sideline with Narlene Masto. Narlene, you've got some information about what both coaches said at half-time.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Well, I've been told that we'll start to see the likes of Estardao and Palmer come on for at least half an hour, so around the 60th minute mark in this match. Now, as we know, this pre-season tour is a real chance for Xabi to start building that conditioning in his players, because Chelsea, they were outrun by in all but one of their matches in the Premier League last season, but he's also made it clear that the mental side is just as important as the work they put on in the training pitch. He's spoken about wanting to create mentality monsters, so it'll be intriguing to see how they manage this one.
Well, here's a chance to go back in front, and he flashes it wide of the top left corner. Landon Emanalo.
Well, that's exactly the position they want to find themselves in, getting space, everybody attracted to the ball. The Wanderers, and they did not see Emanalo, who gets a really good look at it. He should hit the target from there.
He's played international youth football with the US and England, the 17 US international. Emanalo. So Milanovic has to get on his bike and get across, and he does just in the nick of time. Now it's Emanalo doing the defending on Milanovic. And the stretch was well earned by Reggie Watson, who then wins the free kick.
A smart foul from Brandon Borello, who's been energetic tonight. Big response needed from Western Sydney. He's the man to lead it. A lot of talk during the week, wearing the armband and having that hangover from last season as one of those players a part of the season. They've got to try and forget it, and this first showing really does erase some of those memories.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a lucky deflection there for Kellyman. Barry's across, and the whistle comes from Daniel Elder. Limited opportunities tonight for Liam Delap. Just a little bit frustrated there. So, it was fairly agricultural, wasn't it, Eric?
Yeah, it certainly was. And that's what you come to expect. If you're not getting service, if you're not getting the ball, you've got to go and make some sort of impact on the game. And we've seen him once or twice get into scoring positions. Liam Delap.
Well, big season ahead for him. Just a couple of goals last season, so he will most certainly want to improve on that this season. One of the bright young English prospects.
Yeah, big hamstring injury last year as well, kept him out. Remember his old man as well with that long throw.
Here comes Madana down to the byline. just the 16 starts for Delap last season. So it's always hard, isn't it, when you're coming off the bench to really find rhythm.
Not bad when you score your first Champions League goal against Barcelona.
So, looks as though that's Marco Palestra just getting some instructions. The Italian. His youth football with Atalanta. In his first season with the Blues. So, Chelsea fans will get a look at him very, very soon, it would seem. Here's Milanovic. Madana. It's Borello's central, little deflection. Spills for Borello, and Milanovic now for Thurgate. Just all got a little cumbersome there for Western Sydney. Barry steps in, here come the blue shirts. They're rushing forward, Pantazopoulos versus Delap, and Delap wins that shoulder-to-shoulder battle. Pantazopoulos returns. Satpayev. It's between a couple of red and black shirts. Nice footwork again. And that strike. Just not enough on it from Kellyman to trouble Vidakovic.
Yeah, again, just a little bit more connection with somebody on the edge of the box. It's all quite individual from Chelsea, trying to find that extra pass. But I think a lot of these players know maybe their time is coming to an end, so a little bit of extra exertion before they come off.
Well, Eric, I think there's a few fans in the stadium here getting pretty excited. There's some big names about to enter this match. Well, they have a deficit, though, to try and pull back, as Milanovic links with the... Oh, great strike from Atia Waraga. Stung the palms there. Well, Sharman Lowe, who's unhappy with his defence.
Well, it opened up for him, didn't it? Great movement from Milanovic, just to open up that little yard of space for Waraga to pull the trigger. And it was a really good strike. It was moving all over the place. Sharman Lowe had to get down and had to make sure.
So Cole Palmer and Esteval getting ready to come into this game at the next stoppage, it would seem. Neatly worked by Western Sydney. Milanovic all the way across the face. Tosin with the clearance away now. Chelsea ready for the change. Well, Western Sydney, they don't want the change to take place. Well, they do and they don't, because they know there's a lot of quality about to come into this game. DePizio, Borello on the turn. Just delayed a little too long, and Chelsea able to get reinforcements around the ball. Oh, that is a nice deflection for Western Sydney. Cicluna! Oh, luck's of fortune! But luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And what an opportunity that was from Dylan Cicluna. And didn't he make it count?
He's been up for it. He's really wanted to get on the end of something and make sure that his name goes up in lights and the flames go off in the background. It's been great viewing from the Western Sydney Wanderers. What a little piece of skill on the Harvey Norman replay. They don't clear their lines, and the footwork and the composure to stab it home from Dylan Cicluna, who's had his injury scares in the past, but he's back with a bang. This is going to be a big, big year for Dylan Cicluna.
And here come changes en masse. Cole Palmer coming into the game. Esteval as well, you can see him closest to the halfway line. And look at Western Sydney as well. Some changes coming, including Jared Carluccio, the Chelsea fan who gets up in the early hours of the morning here in Australia to watch his side play, including this man, Cole Palmer, who had an injury-interrupted season last year, a groin issue. Ended up meaning he missed the English World Cup squad. Esteval as well. He missed out on the World Cup with a hamstring tear. Didn't get the chance to go over to the US, Canada and Mexico with Brazil. Big loss for them. But a big win for Chelsea, you would think that these guys did miss the World Cup because they've had a little bit more time to rest those legs after a big season. So what impact can they have here as they look to fight back? From a 3-2 deficit, never have Chelsea been beaten in Australia by Australian opposition. Well, right now they are 3-2 behind, and some work to do here for some of their big names. What about some of these young Western Sydney Wanderers with an opportunity? I said Carluccio, but also Awan Lual, who is their leading goal scorer for their youth team, who are currently in season at the moment in Australia. And he scored 19 goals, the leading goal scorer in that NPL New South Wales competition. So he is sniffing some goals at the moment, Eric Partaloo, and he'll be excited to take on this Chelsea side.
And the Wanderers side in general. When's the last time we saw the Western Sydney Wanderers score 3 goals, let alone against Chelsea? It's just been that sort of night for them. Really re-energised under Ufuk Talay.
So floated over the top for Jamie Gittins, who's bearing down on goal. Vidakovic with the save, the follow-up from Esteval. Just fluffed his lines for Palmer. Oh, they're looking sharp now, Chelsea. Here's the Australian-born Nicole Jazuli. It's going to be all hands to the pump here for Western Sydney. And Solmino. Nicole Jazuli. 1-2 by Cole Palmer. Western Sydney able to clear it over the sideline. The intensity has just stepped up a notch, as you would expect. Lovely footwork. And there is the equaliser. It did not take long. João Pedro setting up the equaliser. And the introduction of the Stars. And it is 3-3.
Well, it didn't take long to throw a little bit of magic from the bench from Xabi Alonso. This is more like it from Chelsea FC. The movement there from Gittins playing forward, looking for Pedro. And it's the movement just to get forward and a step over. In this sort of position, can you find a teammate? When you get to that moment, a lot of players on the Harvey Norman replay would look to shoot. Not João Pedro. Composed as you like, straight off the bench, ice cold. And so is the finish from Jamie Gittins. We're all square.
Gittins, who made his senior debut with Borussia Dortmund before arriving at Chelsea. And basically what we've seen in the last 5-6 minutes is we've seen a vast majority of the experienced players from Western Sydney leave the field. So they've got a very youthful side out there. And the Stars of Chelsea have arrived. So the match has flipped 180 degrees. Here's Palestra. Palmer lets it run. And now Jai Rose. A really impressive season last year did Jai Rose, getting his opportunity. Those 9 appearances. That's a lovely ball for Milanovic. And Milanovic low Lual there. Leading goal scorer in the youth team. He's earned them a corner kick here, Western Sydney.
end to end, and they go quickly from the short corner as well. It's great movement from Milanovic.
Milanovic drops it onto the head of Robert Sanchez. He has to get involved here, but now's the problem for Western Sydney as they push forward and they swarm. Well, Estevao's been dynamic since coming into this game. Now, Robert Sanchez, you might remember, Eric Partaloo, he actually took the spot of Matty Ryan at Brighton about 6 years ago. They were duking it out for that #1 position in the Premier League. Sanchez ultimately winning out as Matty Ryan headed away from the Seagulls. So it was not quite to plan there from Levi Colwell, and another corner on the way for Western Sydney. Rose. Here's a deflected strike. Oh goodness, that very nearly nestled in the bottom corner there from Emil Katrib.
You just never know. On the edge of the box, deflection, somebody puts a leg out. Very difficult to go direct from the corners for Western Sydney. That's why they're going short. A lot of tall timber in there for Chelsea.
What a moment for one of these youngsters if they can pull off something special here against the really experienced men on this tour for Chelsea. Milanovic does so well, and the strike is not far off from Oscar Morrison. The 19-year-old academy captain just pushing that to the right as Western Sydney threatened to retake the lead.
Well, it's the second time that short corner variation has worked, and Chelsea have not switched on to it. But they're going to be a little bit more composed now. You can just see in that little bit of pressure, Cole Palmer edging his way out of traffic.
There goes Estevao.
Not much in it, but you can see him just drawing the foul between the two players. It's great to see the Brazilian out there.
Jamie Githens and Salmino. English international Levi Colwell and Githens. On the same wavelength there.
A little bit of rust after coming on. No rust in the finish though. And that will please Xabi Alonso. This is what these games are about. It's about reaction. And when the fitness is maybe not there, as a big player at a big club and with a big coaching journey in front of him, you've got to know that your players can come in and change the game. It's not easy when you haven't got your touch or you haven't got your full fitness yet, but you are expected to come in and make a difference. In this game, it hangs in the balance right now for the Wanderers.
Just a reminder as well, this Sydney Super Cup format is that if the match is level at 90 minutes, goes straight to a penalty shootout. Vidakovic. Jai Rose should earn the whistle here and does. Western Sydney, well, they wanted to play advantage. Steve Ugarkovic was keen to keep the momentum rolling. So Milanovic has Katrib. Fullback, I'm told, 25 for Western Sydney. Good engines, according to Ufi Tale. Rose. Some bright moments since he's come in to this game. Jai Rose. Pedro. He was legged. Leading goal scorer across all competitions last year with 20.
Didn't like that one. Right in the sore spot. We went right after Garkovic, straight after it. There's Marco Palestra, Serie A Defender of the Year. And we talk a lot about these players for Chelsea being good in the final third, but that's a really good pickup for Chelsea. Marc Cucurella departing to go to Real Madrid. Yes, left-hand side. He's comfortable, Palestra, in playing both sides. Highest average speed in the Serie A.
He came through the ranks at Atalanta, and then last season, Cagliari. Colo to Sanchez. Just putting a lot of pressure there on Pedro. Now Palmer. Saves so much time, doesn't he? Able to find the pass. Esteval. Palmer. Nice little clip over the top. Pedro. Under the watchful eye of Emil Kutrib. Teenager, 17-year-old. So if you're loving this, you don't want to miss tomorrow night, Sydney FC versus Tottenham Hotspur from Allianz Stadium. Cole Palmer finding the goal scorer in Gittins. Just to hold the ball up, recycle. Palmer wrecks that cross in front of Vidakovic.
That combination looks really interesting from a Chelsea point of view. Cole Palmer had that groin injury last season that kept him out for a long time. It wasn't until the second half of the season that he really got going, and was it 10 goals, 5 of them from the penalty spot, and people said that he had an average campaign. Didn't make that World Cup squad, everybody knows about it, but it's great to see him come out here tonight in that first game and really try and build a relationship with Gittins, another player who needs to have a big season.
Well, it was a start to the 25-26 campaign, which began so well with that golden ball at the Club World Cup for Palmer. Here come Chelsea again. And it was a moment which you expected the net to bulge there from Esteval. In the end, it was a rather tame shot to Vidakovic.
But how good is it watching these players? You know, we see them week in, week out, play at a very, very high level, the highest possibly in the world, and jinking through and slinking through and making it look easy. And yeah, they're not their polished, finished product, but there's some amazing skill on there.
Well, what do they say, Eric? Can you do it on a cool winter's night at a core stadium with jet lag? Well, this has all got a little awkward there. So Sanchez mops up. Oh, that's brilliant from Carluccio. Lays it off. Western Sydney are back in front. And it's the leading goal scorer in the NPL this season, Awan Lual. He does it against Premier League opposition as well. And Wanderers, Wonderland is in dreamland right now.
Well, he could do it on a cold winter's night at Accor Stadium. Owen Lawal, the next player off the ranks to score against Chelsea FC. They get caught in possession. Carluccio, a self-proclaimed Chelsea fan, decides not to shoot against his club that he supports. He lays it off perfectly, and on the Harvey Norman replay, goal scorers score goals. And that's what this man has been doing for Western Sydney Wanderers. What a game we are witnessing here. It's 4-3 to the Wanderers.
So the superstars entered the pitch for Chelsea. They found the equaliser. Well, the youngsters from Western Sydney have retaken the lead. It's quite stunning. Palmer, Esteval, João Pedro, Levi Colwell, Robert Sanchez on the pitch here for Chelsea. But it's Western Sydney who have found the go-ahead goal. And what I'm so impressed by in that moment, Eric, is Jared Carluccio, the Chelsea nuffy. He's thinking, my name's going up in lights here, I'm about to score, and he lays it off. So unselfish, so impressive from Carluccio in that moment.
I just don't think he wanted to score against Chelsea. No, but great composure. And great composure as well from Owen Lawal. A lot of players would have snatched at that, and you can tell that's something they've been working on in the final third.
Well, Chelsea looking to make it 4-4 here. Gittins made it 3-3. Delivers a cross. João Pedro! Chelsea are back. One of their superstars. This time the Brazilian. A clinical finish. Entertainment plus here at Accor Stadium, and it's 4-4.
This is what the crowd came to see. The top scorer for Chelsea last season in the Premier League. They look for it, and they get the second bite at the cherry, and it's an easy finish for a player of João Pedro's quality. On the Harvey Norman replay, he just strokes it home. Pedro, he drives it in the corner, and we're back on level terms.
Isn't it funny? It's as if they are just toying with Western Sydney. Just let them get in front, and then, hang on a sec, let's put it into the next gear. Find the equaliser. They've done it again. There's 10 minutes to go here. Remember, if we're locked up at the end, it's a penalty shootout. But right now, Chelsea are looking good here for a fifth. Gittins driving, and Western Sydney have done just enough to deny Cole Palmer.
Well, can we be critical? At this point in time, the shot was on. It was facing the goal, and the run was not clear. I think we're going to find a winner. I don't think we're going to go to penalties.
Are you going third place playoff World Cup, Eric? Is it going to be 6-4 instead of tennis?
There's one more in this.
Look at that, João Pedro, one shot, one goal. Robert Sanchez just urging some more width from his side. Launches it towards Gittins. How about that first touch? Just cushions it beautifully. João Pedro, Gittins blocked off. João Pedro has another chance. Oh, and Oscar Morrison. I don't know how much he knew about that. It was a rather nervy prod.
You can see Esteval there asking for the extra pass. It's only a matter of time, we feel.
Esteval in the short corner. It's Cole Palmer got in those boots. Flashes it away. That would have been a special way to put Chelsea back in front.
What a game.
How good's it been? Well, they haven't been in front since very early on in this match. The opening 10 minutes when they took the lead. 3 is Sampaio. Panterzopoulos equalised in the 14th minute, and since then it's been either level or Western Sydney have been in front. Western Sydney taking a 2-1, 3-2 and a 4-3 lead. Chelsea pegging them back on each occasion.
I think it's fair to say that they've got a lot of work to do, Chelsea. I know this is not the team that would play the first game of the season, but in terms of what Xabi Alonso has asked, from trying to play out from the back and trying to build that relationship through the press and playing around it hasn't worked tonight. And this is great food for thought for him, as you can see him now talking with his assistant coaches. There's a lot to work on, a lot to gain from this fixture, and they haven't got time in this job.
Well, here's a real opportunity. João Pedro screaming for it in the middle. It may not matter. Here goes Esteval. Side netting. The Blues fans were up here in Accor Stadium. They thought it was 5-4.
Absolutely explosive. Look at him burst forward, but Tristan Vidakovic just gets a toe to it.
Six minutes remaining. You would expect there won't be much stoppage time. There's only one in the first half, usually very little in these kind of matches. Can Chelsea find the winner here? Gittins lays it off. They're all being unselfish. Awan Lual links with Rose, who gets taken down from behind. Oh, Daniel Elder says no free kick, and Upi Tale is going off on the sideline. Look at him, even in a friendly. He is filthy with that decision, and Chelsea, is this the moment? João Pedro! .5-4 to Chelsea. And the Brazilian superstar, their leading goal scorer last season, on the double.
More fuel to the fire for João Pedro. Left out of the Brazilian World Cup squad. Can you believe it? Upi Tale says that's a foul in the middle of the pitch. It doesn't matter. It's that man there, Cole Palmer, pulling the strings. And you thought he'd lost the opportunity. Goal scorers, they want to score the goal that they're ready for. And they want to try and make it as easy as possible. But that looked like a difficult one for João Pedro. But in the end, he's just got too much quality in that right boot. He's got himself a double.
So Pedro makes it 5-4. Ufuk Talay, the Western Sydney coach, he is furious with that decision. On the halfway line, right in front of him. Had a chat to the fourth official as well. To be fair, he probably has every right to be. It looked to be a bit of force in that little battle with Jai Rose. But in the end, the referee said it was shoulder to shoulder. Play on. Chelsea take advantage and they take the lead for the first time since the 14th minute. Western Sydney have something else here. Here's Waraga, hanging it up, just over the head. The chasing men in red and black. Harry goes up for the header. Helped on by Katrib. Problems here. Sanchez has come a little from goal. Milanovic squares it across the face. A few chances here, Western Sydney, now with Barry. Surely they couldn't make this 5-5. Well, one thing for sure tonight, all the fans are going away thoroughly entertained. An enthralling match of football to begin the Sydney Super Cup. If you like what you've seen here tonight, grab your tickets for tomorrow night. Sydney FC taking on Tottenham, and then it is is Chelsea and Tottenham on Saturday night here at Accor Stadium. Don't want to miss that one. There's not too many tickets left, so you better snap them up quickly. Esteban, Palestra. Oh, that's neat from the Italian. Earns a corner.
That right-hand side's going to be exciting for Chelsea. Check out the footwork. Dazzling the crowd, playing and moving, and then Palestra says, I'll show you a trick of my own. Have some of that.
Substitution for our Western Sydney Wanderers,
Western Sydney going to make another change here. It's Giorgio Hasarati. He's going to replace Jai Rose. Really impressed Jai Rose in his second half. Looking forward to seeing him again in the A-League this campaign. So Hasarati gets a couple of minutes to run around here at Accor Stadium. Is there a 6 for Chelsea? Free header at the back post, and it's a scramble. And I reckon João Pedro has forced it over the line for a hat-trick. 6-4 to the Blues.
Well, you did get your scoreline from the 3rd place in the World Cup. But this man wasn't at the World Cup. Maybe you should have been. The delivery, the runs, nobody picking up for the Wanderers. It should have gone in from there. Poacher's instincts from João Pedro, making a real impact on this game, and he hasn't really got out of second gear. And that's what the good players do.
Well, it was a free header, to be fair. Wesley Fofana, he'll be looking back at that thinking, I should have made it count from the first opportunity. But in the end, João Pedro, the superstar, didn't play at the World Cup, as you said, Eric. Carlo Ancelotti deciding on a different squad. Maybe the inclusion of Neymar in the end resulted in him missing out. So he's another player who's going to come into this season fresh after not playing in the World Cup.
All the Italians will be in the same boat, looking for a point to prove, not playing in the Summers World Cup. Cole Palmer's another player for Chelsea, so that's only going to be a positive. If you're a Chelsea FC fan, you're going to have a lot of hungry players out there looking to prove a point.
So Western Sydney, as though they are going to make another couple of changes. It's Marcus Savage and Alat Abdul Rahman. Nathan Barry gets a breather, came into the game in the first half after that injury for Hernan Ferreira. Atia Waraga gets replaced, so Abdul Rahman slots in there for Vitale's man. Couple of minutes remaining. Entertainment right until the very end of this one. Coming from his blind side, and there's a whistle for contact on Palestra. It has hurt the Italian.
Both players just putting their legs up there, and yeah, I mean, we're lucky this is not going to be in the realms of being reviewed. It's a mistimed tackle, shall we say, from the substitute, but it is high enough to be dangerous.
I'll tell you what, well, he's been yellow carded Alat Abdul Rahman. I was almost going to say, what happened, I didn't want to say it when he came on, but now I can refer to it, was on his A-League debut. I reckon he came on with about 2 minutes to go and he got a yellow card in that time as well. So he's a player that gets himself about. He gets himself into the thick of the action. Alat Abdul Rahman. Just the 3 A-League appearances, that debut February 2025 against MacArthur. Palestra hits the pitch again.
He's got to be careful here. Abdul Rahman.
Let's say they won't be swapping shirts, I reckon. So that is full time. And it's Chelsea who continue their undefeated pre-season run in Australia dating back to 1965, and look at the players swarm João Pedro. Who's going to get that number 20 shirt of the Brazilian? The Aussie 16-year-old Marty Nicole Jazuli playing his part in the second half. Now, after being behind for a large portion of tonight's match, Chelsea, they came back with the superstars, Palmer, Estevao, João Pedro, Levi Colwell coming into the game. And full-time, it finishes Chelsea FC 6, Western Sydney Wanderers 4.